All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. We got a few things to talk about. We have some updates from the SPC for our upcoming severe risks starting today, but mostly focusing on tomorrow as well as Wednesday in our region. So, welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and get started here. So, today we have a pretty large portion actually of the southern part of our region in a level 1 out of 5 risk. It's called a marginal risk that extends all the way through central and southern Illinois, South Indiana, and extreme South Ohio here. This is going to be for damaging winds and large hail. The timing on that's going to be later tonight, I would assume. So as you get closer to sunset, expect storms to start popping up along those areas. No risk right now for tornadoes in those particular areas, just main concern of damaging winds as well as large hail. We're not overly concerned about these threats today, but it is a threat nonetheless. So take it seriously if you guys do happen to get under a warning tonight. But overall, the next 2 days are going to be the main focus for us here. Starting with tomorrow. We now have a pretty good chunk of Western Illinois within the enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 in orange. We also have a level 2 risk in yellow called a slight risk. And then around those areas is a marginal risk that now extends into a little bit of southwest Michigan and also as far east as West Ohio there, all the way toward Dayton, almost toward Columbus there. But the main risk of this particular setup is going to be further to the west, out in primarily Wisconsin and Illinois there, as well as Iowa, Missouri. But those states are out of our forecast coverage area. So we focus more so on Illinois and Wisconsin. Those are where the highest threats are going to be. Now, what are the threats, though? We do have a threat for all hazards, meaning tornadoes, wind, and hail. There is a hatched area out in Illinois where you see this black circle within this yellow outline here. That area in particular is under the gun for potential strong tornadoes. Okay. If you are in that yellow or yellow black zone, be on alert to be close to Peoria, Illinois, almost touching Springfield there, but Quincy also included. So this very western half of Illinois here in that yellow 10% hatched area. But around that area, we also have a 5% there in reddish brown color. So it's a little bit higher of a threat, or a little bit lower of a threat than 10%, but higher than just, a small chance. But then we have that green outline around that 5 and 10%. That's your 2% risk. That's going to be your lowest risk, but still a risk nonetheless. And if you're in white all the way up here in Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, you guys aren't under the gun for any severe threats, or any tornadoes. But if you are in these green, red, or yellow areas, that means you do have a risk for tornadoes. So South Wisconsin, West Indiana, and all of Illinois getting in on that risk for tornadoes. Wind is going to be your next threat. It's going to be a 15% risk all for Illinois, extreme South Wisconsin, and very extreme West Indiana there. Only a very sliver of Indiana getting in that risk. But then around that, they have a 5% for pretty much all of Indiana, West Ohio, and a little bit further north into southern Wisconsin. And there's also a very small tip of Michigan getting in on that risk as well for Berrien County. Not too concerned for Michigan with this threat at all. And last but not least, your hail threat for tomorrow is going to be a hatched area once again for the exact same areas we talked about for strong tornadoes. We could also see significant hail above 2 inches in diameter for western Illinois, but otherwise the risk does extend further to the east. So all of Illinois basically has a 15% risk for hail. Southern Wisconsin also getting in on that 15%. And further east you go into Indiana and western Ohio, it drops off to just a 5% risk. So a little bit lower of a risk, but a risk nonetheless. All right, that is going to be for Tuesday. And last but not least, we have a risk now for Wednesday. We have a level 2 risk, what we call a slight risk there in yellow for most all of central and southern Indiana and west central Ohio. But surrounding that, we do have a marginal risk now that extends all the way up into Michigan from Lansing, pretty much all the way over to Flint to Detroit, back through Cleveland, Akron, Youngstown, Athens, all the way back east, all the way back to the west, should I say, to Carbondale, up towards Champaign, Illinois, up towards Chicago, Gary, Indiana areas. So pretty big chunk once again under the risk here for Wednesday. So now this risk right now does not have any of the specific hazards, but we do have concern for all hazards for Wednesday as well. We'll have more info on that tomorrow. We're going to focus mainly on Wednesday's threat more so tomorrow, but we're going to focus on tomorrow's threat today. Let's go ahead and jump into some models here. Let's look at a few of these outputs. This is what we call the NAM model. We're going to run this through the time frame here. We're going to look at this for tomorrow. We're going to see these storms popping up tonight across the Central Plains. This is going to move into the region more so tomorrow afternoon. And check out these supercellular thunderstorms that form out in Iowa, but also down here in Illinois. We have these storms popping up all over the place in the region tomorrow. Let's go ahead and move this forward into the Tuesday evening hours. We do see those storms begin to spread a little bit further eastward, but then this model does depict these storms weakening as they move to the east. But then if you look in the morning hours, it redevelops an arc of storms on Wednesday morning, and that's going to push through the region on Wednesday. So that's just one model. I'm not sure I completely agree with that model's output. We do have a couple other models we can look at as well, mainly for tomorrow. Looking at this one, we do have a similar picture being painted tonight into the plains. Moving on to tomorrow morning, there are your storms for tomorrow across Iowa and Missouri, pushing into Illinois there. These storms should become pretty potent. Here's what we're talking about there. There's 2 lines on this model of showers and storms out in Illinois and also Wisconsin as well. That's going to push eastward. It should weaken with time. So rain likely for Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio. Everybody's going to get rain, honestly, on Tuesday and Wednesday, but not everybody's going to see severe weather. But as we get into Wednesday morning, we have a clear out. We should be able to destabilize once again, and that should set the stage for rapid destabilization of the atmosphere. This is a model that I think has a good handle on things for Wednesday morning. We see instability pushing all the way back up into the region, pushing 2,000 joules of surface-based CAPE. That's a lot on the surface, all the way up into South Michigan, and that should set the stage for another severe event in the region, in particular South Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Potential radar for Wednesday morning is going to look like something like this. Probably an arc or a line of storms. It's going to be pushing through the region. So have to keep an eye on that. We'll have more information on that risk as it comes out tomorrow. But overall, the concern is going to be for tomorrow's risk for Illinois primarily, and also parts of Wisconsin. And that could shift eastward with time, although I don't really think it's going to get too far east, given that the instability does weaken as we get towards sunset and into the evening hours and later evening hours tomorrow evening. Is Indiana and Ohio becoming the new Tornado Alley? It does seem like that. There's some talk and some research going on about how Tornado Alley could be shifting eastward. Personally, I'm not on board with that idea just yet, but given that we've had an active season this year, it certainly does seem like that, doesn't it? I do want to highlight one more time, there is a risk tonight for southern parts of the region, South Illinois, Indiana, and also Ohio getting in on some severe action for damaging winds and large hail potential for tonight. Those storms would be pretty much isolated in nature. I don't really see much here in the models indicating that we're going to have anything popping up tonight. Just a few rogue storms down here that pop up, but no major to be concerned about. But with that being said, we do have a risk nonetheless tonight. So keep an eye on the radar and for any warnings that do get issued. So 3 consecutive days, technically 4 if you count yesterday, but 3 consecutive days here of upcoming severe weather. Moves eastward with time. But the main concern right now is Tuesday. We don't want to focus too much on Wednesday just yet, just because exact details are just not yet known. We'll have a better idea tomorrow morning when we have a new outlook and also some new model data to go off of. So if you guys got any questions, feel free to drop those in chat right now. Otherwise, that is all I had to share with you guys. We're pumping out some informational graphics on the pages for you guys to look at regarding tomorrow's threat. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, that's all I got to share. Today's going to be beautiful across the region. Upper 60s, low 70s once again for a majority. I believe we're going to touch 80 at some point in the region today. I'm going to double check that real quick, but I believe we're going to touch 80. the further south you go. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, further south toward the Ohio River Valley, about low 80s, honestly. But if you're up here in Michigan, Wisconsin, you're looking at probably low 70s, high 60s. So pretty good, nice day across the region, light winds. Get out there and enjoy the beautiful day, guys. Yes, Ashley, Southern Michigan is in a low risk for Wednesday. Go ahead and take a look at Michigan specifically. I'll be going live on the Michigan Storm Chasers page probably a little bit later on today. If not, maybe a little bit sooner than that. Honestly, I might hop on after I'm done here to cover that. But Michigan, from Grand Rapids over to Lansing, over toward Detroit, dark green areas there, you are in a low risk for severe weather for Wednesday. Right now, we don't have any specific hazards highlighted by the SPC. However, just looking at models and stuff like that, we would expect a low risk for tornadoes and also the higher risk for damaging winds and or large hail at this point. No problem, Ashley. Any other questions, guys? I don't see any other questions, so I am going to hop off here. So just pay attention to the pages. Stay tuned to the SPC if you guys read those outlooks. We'll be posting those also with information on the pages this afternoon, so you have more information to go off of. Otherwise, just stay tuned for a severe threat in Illinois and Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin tomorrow. And then also on Wednesday, it shifts more so further to the east for Indiana, Ohio, and South Michigan. But with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. So you guys have a nice day. Be sure to stay safe and stay tuned to the upcoming forecasts.